Good morning, my bookish friends. How are we today? I'm doing wonderfully. I'm feeling very well rested. I am feeling ready to tackle the last 37 days of school. It's just been a good week off. Welcome. My name is Christine, and welcome back to my corner where we talk all things books. So, over the week, I did get some reading done. Not nearly as much as I would have liked. However, the books I read were kind of chunky ones. So, I think, let me just check my good reads, because I'm pretty sure that I told you about one of them. Yes, I told you about The Unmaking of June Farrow. I told you about The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. What I did not tell you about The Women by Kristen Hanna. Let me tell you, I was very, very hesitant to read this book because I'm just looking for my book. I lost a bookmark, so I was just looking for it quickly. I was very hesitant to read this book because I have told you before, I'm not a war girly. I'm just not. I don't like books about war. They do nothing for me. This, while it was about Vietnam, it wasn't. It was more about how the vets were treated when they returned from Vietnam, which some of you may not know. Some of you might be young enough to not know anything about Vietnam. I was born during that era. So I remember how the American public treated the Vietnam War vets. And more so, how I didn't realize that women were overseas. I didn't realize women were in Vietnam. I didn't know that. At the time, women were not, I don't want to say they weren't allowed in the military, but it's not like it is current day. And this poor woman is going through severe PTSD, which they didn't even know about at the time. They were just learning about it, really. And all everybody kept telling her as she was going to get help is there weren't any women over in Vietnam. Yes, there were. They were nurses. They were nurses in combat hospitals. So it's about letting the world know that, and it's about the relationships that they formed overseas, how they dealt with coming back to civilian life. This was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. This was my Once Upon a Book Club box for maybe March. I can't remember. Yeah, it doesn't say on here. But it was great. She's a chunky one. This was 465 pages. So this pretty much took me all week. It's okay. It was worth it. So I finished that on Saturday evening. And then I picked up Claire Lombardo, The Most Fun We Ever Had. This is another chunky book. 600 pages. And yeah, over it's 620 624 pages. And that's all I've read. I think it's like 30 pages. 44 pages. I read 44 pages yesterday, and that was it. Um, why? I don't know. But first of all, I'm giving it a chance. This is Reese Witherspoon's book of the month for April. Today is the 22nd. Today is April 22nd. So I have 8 days to read this book, 9 if you counted yesterday. I just had trouble starting this. So first of all, let me show you. Do you see this? I don't know if it's The Offspring. April 15th, 2000, 16 years earlier. Now, can somebody explain to me what that means? Hold on, we're trying to focus. Does that mean that 16, is it taking place on April 15th and they're talking about 16 years earlier than April 15th, 2000? 16 years before that, which would have been 84? Or are they saying that April 15th, 2000 was 16 years ago? I don't know. I spent a long time trying to figure out what that meant. And then I read the first chapter, which just kind of overwhelmed me. There were a lot of big words. Like, not that I'm afraid of big words. They weren't flowing. How's that? There were a lot of big words that to me weren't flowing and really made me focus and think. So that was the first chapter, which was kind of like a prelude. It wasn't really chapter 1. It was like a prelude, and it's about the mother thinking about her 4 grown daughters. Or actually, they might have been I don't know. They were little, I think, at that point. Part 1 is the spring, and I started reading chapter 1, and that got better. I'm going to keep plugging along with it and hoping that it will grab me, because right now I'm just reading it. It has not grabbed me yet. So it says, when Marilyn Connolly and David Sorensen fall in love in the 70s, they are blithely ignorant of all that awaits them. By 2016, their 4 radically different daughters are in a state of unrest. Wendy, widowed young, soothes herself with booze and younger men. Violet, a litigator turned stay-at-home mom, battles anxiety and self-doubt. Liza, a neurotic and newly tenured professor, finds herself pregnant with a baby she's not sure she wants by a man she's not sure she loves. And Grace, the dawdling youngest daughter, begins living a lie that no one in her family even suspects. With the arrival of Jonah Bent, the child's placed for adoption by one of the daughters 15 years before, the Sorensens will be forced to reckon with the rich and varied tapestry of their past. Years marred by adolescent angst, infidelity, and resentment, but also the transcendent moments of joy that make everything else worthwhile. I don't want to DNF it, but I'm not in it yet. Does that make sense? So I'm still in the phase where I'm deciding if I'm going to keep going with this. Because if I don't fall into it, it's a long book to have to push myself through. So I'm still giving it a chance. All right. I'm hoping that as I read it, I fall deeper into it, and I'll let you know as I keep going. Also, coming in the summer of 2024 is Same as It Ever Was, which is another book by Claire Lombardo. It's a new book coming out in the summer. So maybe if I like this, I'll get her next book, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, it's a Reese Witherspoon's book of the month, so I'd like to get it finished in April. It's just a chunk. I don't know what it was. This month I didn't really get a lot of books read because they were all really thick books and not books that I could just get through. They weren't books that I couldn't put down. They were good, but they weren't like, oh my God, I need to pick this up and I need to spend the next 8 hours digesting this. That's not what they were like. They were just longer books that took me longer to read. So the first book I finished in April was One for My Enemy by Olive E. Blake, The Unmaking of June Farrow, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and The Women by Kristen Hanna. So I've only read 4 books, but each book has taken me over a week to complete. So, I mean, it's okay, right? It's not a race. I know last year I read over 100 books, just over 100, and some of them were graphic novels. Some of them were audiobooks. I have not been listening to near the audiobooks that I was listening to last year. Audiobooks I'm fickle with. There's certain books that I can listen to on audio. Biographies and autobiographies are awesome. I love listening to those on Audible because, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't read a lot of autobiographies because I don't know, reading them they don't grab me. That's my experience with them. So having said that, I've read a lot of autobiographies. However, there really aren't many that I want to read that are out right now. So I have to pick a book. But there are some books that are better for me to read because I don't get into them the same way I do when I'm reading them. Does this make sense? What I mean by that is there are some books that if I am reading it, I go into a book trance and I am in that world. That never happens with an audiobook, ever. Never happens. So it's got to be something that I probably wouldn't read because I'd rather save those books for when I'm reading. The books that I want to get into, Court of Thorn and Roses. I want to read that whole trilogy. I know it's free on Audible. I don't want to listen to it. It's personal preference, and that's all that I can say. I know a lot of people, their main book reading is Audible, and that is wonderful. Audible or Libby or any of the ways you can listen to a book. I just can't. I can't. Call me old-fashioned. I don't know. So I think that's it. I have not gotten any new books. Sorry. Oh, I did. Somebody told me that after The Serpent and the Wings of Night, there is a novella, 6 Scorched Roses. And that comes before the second book in the series, which is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So I got that. However, that's part of a series, so that doesn't count. I'm listening to my dogs. I think they're getting in trouble. I'm going to have to go get them. So anyway, I did get that one, but that's part of a series, so that one doesn't count. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to see my little kids for the first time in 9 days. I'm excited to see them. This is also a rough time of the year, um, but we will get through. Okay, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful day. It's beautiful outside. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. It is spring. I hope that you're enjoying it where you are, and I will check in with you as soon as I make some progress on the most fun we ever had. Have a great day. Bye, friends.